Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and in today's video we're playing Rainbow Six Extraction, and in this video I'll be telling you, in my opinion, who all of the best operators in the game are. I've also made a tier list with every single operator that I'll visit at the end of the video, telling you my reasoning for why some didn't make the list. So let's start out by going with our top 5 on the list. And when ranking these, I have considered their weapons, their abilities, how they play in stealth and in co-op, as well as their progression when you rank them up. Starting off our list at the number 5 position is Vigil, the stealth king himself, and his ability allows you to become undetectable for a short duration of time. But more importantly, progression-wise, this ability scales incredibly well because at level 10, it allows you to disrupt your co-op teammates as well, and it'll set their speed to speed 4, making everyone as fast as possible. The ability will also last 15 seconds and then have a 15-second cooldown, which means you can pretty much use it for half of the time that you're in an incursion. You also get the Gear Up perk, which allows you to carry an extra react explosive, probably the best secondary perk that any of the operators have. But Vigil's shortfall does come with his weapon loadout, unfortunately. He has some of the weaker primary and secondary weapons in the game, in my opinion. Also, because his secondary weapons are machine pistols that don't have silencers, if you do want to play fully in stealth, you will need to put a silencer on your main weapon. This means that it can be very difficult to shoot your way out of a fight should a lot of enemies all spawn at once, as suppressors make you deal a lot less damage. With that being said, the stealth factors definitely outweigh some of the damage factors, and you'll be earning way more XP using stealth strategies versus just shooting your way through everything, which is why Vigil is such an important character and an easy top 5 in my opinion. Next up, the 4th best operator in my opinion is Alibi, mostly due to the fact that she has decoys she can throw on the battlefield that will lure enemies and attract their attention. Enemies who attack these decoys will become scanned. She's also a high speed character, which is very useful, and when she's leveled, she can regenerate her own ability or pick up her decoys, meaning that she really won't have to use the ability crate. You may need to make a couple of small adjustments as you play her because she is a high speed operator. You may want to spawn with body armor in your gear slot. Additionally, her primary weapons aren't very good until you reach level 9 when you unlock her LMG. In fact, you will probably want to mostly use her pistol, which is incredibly strong and can one-shot a lot of enemies. However, if you have bad aim and miss those shots, it takes a really long time to reload, and you'll probably end up stuck in a corner and dead. Obviously, Alibi's ability is also quite situational. It's extremely useful when you have to do a series scan or defend charges, but it's a lot less useful when you have to do something like sneak around and do the triangulation task. But when you take everything as a big picture and include the fact that one of her perks allows her to have 35% increased speed in reloads, aiming down sight, and weapon swapping, she is an easy pick and a great way to round out your squad, buy you a couple of extra minutes from the hungry grunts, and maybe even help you secure an objective or two or have a much easier revive. The 3rd best operator in my opinion is Finka, primarily due to the fact that she has amazing weapons, but also due to the fact that her ability is the Adrenaline Surge, which will boost your teammates' health, and it'll make enemies do less damage to your teammates, but most importantly, you can revive your teammates from a distance, which during a fight is a severely underrated thing to do. It is great to be able to just revive your teammate without having to worry about going to their location, making sure they don't die, or having to extract them once they do. You can also revive yourself, which means you never have to bring a self-revive kit into the fight. Also, during heat of the moment battles, it's so nice to be able to take a couple of hits and not have to carry that damage forward in a long or difficult run. Now, obviously, if you're so good at the game that you can beat the hardest difficulty without ever getting hit by an enemy, Finka does end up being pretty useless, but I think it's safe to say it's a good safety net to have just in case, especially if you're playing on the harder difficulties. Even if her ability is slightly worse than Vigil's or Alibi's, her primary weapons will make up for it. They are incredibly strong and don't need to be silenced, as she does have a silenced pistol option. In at the number 2 spot, I have Ela, because I believe that the stun grenade is the best explosive tech you can take with you, and she basically has an infinite regenerative supply of them, and they also are better than regular stuns because they last longer. Not only that, this will free up a spot to bring an impact grenade with you if you prefer, or a scan mine for recon. She also has some of the best weapons in the game with a really great pistol, but also a really great LMG that you can unlock as you level her. All these things make her really flexible and make her pair really well as a teammate with other operators. One of the bad things, though, is that they did balance her with a perk that is not that great, and her LMG, which is her best weapon, takes literally forever to reload. But if you do want to be that operator on your team that doesn't have a dedicated role, you just want to get as many kills as possible and not interfere with your teammates, Ela is going to be that multi-purpose, fits everywhere operator you need. And the number 1 best operator in Rainbow Six Extraction, without a doubt, no questions asked, is Doc. He is so far above and beyond everyone else, it is insane. At the end of the day, you're not going to lose an operator because you didn't have enough stuns or ran out of ammo. You're going to run out of health because you're getting hit by the enemy, and Doc is the exact counter to that. As long as you have cooperative teammates who will let you heal them and grab the ability crates, you should be overcharging your team for basically double or triple the health throughout an entire incursion. Add to that they have some of the best weapons in the game with the P90 and the HK417, and really good armor stats of their own to prevent themselves from getting damaged, and you have a really great operator. On top of that, you get the added flexibility of using Doc's stim pistol to self-revive or to revive teammates at a distance. Trust me, there really is no comparison to any other operator. I don't think Rainbow Six Extraction is the type of game to get nerfs, but Doc is way better than everyone else. If he does have any cons, it's that he's a lot slower than most of the other operators in the game, and his perk for having an additional 30 health on a revive isn't the best one in the game, but I think that's a pretty fair balance when everything else is considered. We then go to our tier list and start with the D tier worst operators in the game. Fuse, he's useless for the vast majority of the time you'll play this game. His ability is not stealth, but it's also not good when you are trying to be aggressive, as you will get killed setting it up. It also can only work on like 5% of the walls in the game. We then have Sledge, who can go through walls, and if you want to go through walls, just pick up an impact grenade instead. His weapons are mid tier, and generally speaking, making holes in the wall will just make it so that enemies can get to you more quickly. Then we have Tachanka, which does have 2 turrets, which can be useful, but the amount of times you'll actually be able to set up those 2 turrets and use them effectively is minimal. Then we have Habana, who has a serious ammo problem until she reaches level 10, and also you'll be reloading with her non-stop as all her clips are pretty small. Then in the C tier, we have Smoke, who can help you with certain objectives and smoking out the room if a large group does spawn. He also does have the L85A2 as his starting weapon, which isn't that bad. Pulse can be a really great operator to have if you are playing on the lower difficulties and trying to do stealth, but he doesn't scale up to the harder difficulties as well as other operators. We then have Rook, which allows you to give armor to all of your teammates, which allows them to go down if they've already been down before, meaning that you can extend runs through revives if you're able to. We then have Capitao, which has a great set of weapons, both in his primary and his secondary, but has an ability that is less useful than some of the other operators further up in the list. Rounding out the B tier, we have Jaeger, who has really great weapons and an ability that can be used both offensively and defensively. We have IQ, who can scan through walls and find things like ammo, react tech, and medkits, which can help make the most of your incursion if you do find yourself low on some of those items. We have Nomad, who has a great weapon set as well as the ability to one-shot certain types of enemies as she progresses through the levels. And we have Lion, who not only has a great loadout of weapons, but can also see through walls and is going to be really great when you're being aggressive. You can also use their ability very often, as it has a very generous cooldown. You can then add Gridlock to the A class, as they have both good weapons and a good ability, and then we round out with the top 5 that I already talked about, and there is my personal tier list of Rainbow Six Extraction operators. Let me know if you agree or disagree with certain ones, or just the entire list in general. I'll leave a link down below so you can do your own. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. A special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Peace.